honored a lot of Mahaprasadam. And then at night, and you're in India, at night you have a very great pushing to go to the bathroom. And you try to control it because there's no bathroom in the house. In India they have either outdoor bathrooms or international bathroom, which is that you go to the forest. So it's getting more and more, just about to come, Gurudev said. And then you just run out, but it happens to be. Now the reason you don't want to go is that it's cold and rainy out there in the middle of the night. But still, you run out there, and finally you make it on time. And you go, oh. So Srila Gurudev said the third verse, believe it or not, of Upadeshamrita is like that. By great enthusiasm, like the person running in the forest, to relieve myself of all material desires and the 6 pushings, the pushing of anger, the pushing of the mind, the pushing of the speech, the pushing of the tongue, which has no backbone, it just wags all over the place and demands anything and everything. And the pushing of the belly and the genitals. So the enthusiasm to be free from that and to attain bhakti, and then when bhakti comes, devotion comes, oh, I'm so happy now, I'm free. It's like that. Balaram and Krishna were playing with their friends in the forest, herding their cows. And as they passed by some of the beautiful trees of Vrindavan, Krishna said to Balaram, oh, just see these trees. They're the example for everybody. What is the example of the tree? Terror api sahishnuna, being tolerant like the tree. You never see 2 trees quarreling or becoming angry at each other. Rather, what? They don't talk. At least they don't talk nonsense. And you know what else they don't do? They never ask for anything. Do they? Even if they're drying up, Garanga, do they ever ask for a glass of water? No. And no tree has asked you for that, has he? Yeah. They have?
Not yet.
Not yet. So, what does the tree do? The tree lives for others. Its bark is for others. Even Sita and Rama were wearing the bark of the tree when they lived in the forest. Its flowers are for others. Its leaves are for others. You can make a thatched hut from the leaves. It's, what else is there?
Branches, shade.
It's shade, yes, it's branches, and which brings the leaves very far so that you can have shade.
Firewood.
And what?
Firewood.
Firewood.
Fruit.
And fruits. Very sweet fruits. It doesn't ask for anything, but it's always ready to give.
Leaf plates.
Leaf plates also, yes. So they make big leaves for leaf plates. And then, even if a woodcutter were to come to cut down that tree, the tree would give its everything to that woodcutter. It wouldn't take revenge. It's free from the desire for retaliation. So Krishna told Balaram, it's best for everyone to be like the tree, giving everything. If somebody asks you for something, if he wants your agreement on something, if he wants something from you, Gurudev said, give it. Why quarrel? We are less than trees and less than animals. He said if an ordinary villager is quarreling over petty things, well, that's to be expected. Now, Gurudev was giving this lecture where? Does anybody know this lecture? Murwillumbah. He said, so this is Murwillumbah. Why? Because there was a Mura demon, and he tried to kill everybody and kill Krishna, and he was very angry. So Krishna wants to kill the Mura demon. He killed the Mura demon. So we're in this place so that he can kill the demon of anger in you. So, how be like the tree? He said there was once a king. This king was very powerful, very, very glorious, very famous. And one day, he went out to conquer other lands. And he was successful. And he was coming back, and he was very tired. So he was resting under a mango tree. And there were some boys, some village boys, and they were throwing rocks, stones, at the mango tree in order that it would hit the mango and the mango would drop. So accidentally, one of those stones hit the king, and immediately his eyes started gushing blood. And of course he became blind in that one eye. So his ministers immediately chased that boy, grabbed him, and brought him back to the king and said, "O king, please order us that we may slice this boy in two or do something to torture him." So the king, who was sitting under the mango tree, said, "I see that these boys are throwing stones at the mango tree, and what is the mango tree doing in return? Giving sweet mango fruits. So I am not less than this tree. Give the boy a portion of my kingdom." So this king was very famous. So in this way, the king was an example of being like a tree, like in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's verse, and also following these instructions of nectar of instruction. Srila Gurudev explained that if one doesn't follow, memorizing the verses is one thing, he said, but if one doesn't follow the verses of this book, he cannot make even one drop of advancement in Krishna consciousness. So in this way, Krishna was glorifying Baladev. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and just see how these trees are bowing down to you. How are they bowing down? Because the trees are full, laden with fruits and flowers that make their branches very heavy, so they're coming down. In the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the history of King Prithu Maharaj entering his kingdom, Srila Prabhupada explains that King Prithu was adorned with all good qualities of a great king, of a great Vaishnava, and therefore he was very humble, bending down like that tree. Then there are those trees who have no fruits or flowers, and they say straight up. So one will become very puffed up. I am such and such, without any good qualities. But those who are imbued with good Vaishnava qualities, like tolerance, equal to everyone, being more tolerant than the tree, being more humble than the blade of grass, ready to offer all respects to others without desiring any in return. And what else? That's it. Not desiring any respect. Only such a person can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly, which, according to Brihad Aranya Upanishad, is the only means for Krishna realization in this age. You all know that verse? Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gatira Nita. There's no other way, no other way, no other way. Then Gurudev said, if someone is following the third verse of Upadeshamrit, what is the second verse? Atyahara Cha Rajalpo Niyamagraha Janasangas Chaloyam Cha Sadir Bhaktir Nashyati. These 6 things destroy our devotion. And what are they? Atyahara, collecting more than I need.
And eating more slices of pizza than I need.
Yes. Atyahara. That means collecting with what? With all my senses. Collecting more than I need with my eyes.
Watching more Netflix than I need.
I'm sorry? What?
Watching more TV than I need.
Yes, which is how much do we need? Nothing. Good. So, with my eyes, with my nose, with my, what else is there?
Ears.
Tongue.
Smelling.
And, nose, smelling, and touch. So collecting more than I need for what? For maintaining my body and soul together, and just enough to execute my bhakti activities. Atyahara prayasascha, and over-endeavoring for mundane things. Even Srila Gurudev explained, if one has the faith, he said, don't even be worried about maintaining yourself. Money, where am I going to get money? I don't have enough money. If, he said, make an experiment. Sit down for a week and just chant Hare Krishna and see what happens. He said, as far as I'm concerned means Gurudev is concerned. As far as I'm concerned, Lakshmi Devi, the embodiment of the opulence of the Lord, she comes to me with folded palms begging to serve me. And I tell her, just keep at a distance, I'm not interested. Why? Because if we serve Maha, the great origin of all the Lakshmi incarnations, what is that?
Krishna Mai Prapta.
That's
Sarva
one
Lakshmi
verse.
Mai.
Sarva Lakshmi Mayi,
Para.
Sarva.
Kanti Samani.
She is the all Lakshmis, all goddesses of fortune, who are the husbands of the Lord of the Vaikuntha planets, the God of opulence. All of them are within Srimati Radhika. So if we engage our senses in the service of Radha and Krishna, the eyes, otherwise it's not possible to control. What did Arjuna say? To control the mind is very difficult, O Krishna. Manasi Vega. Very difficult. It may be easy to control the raging wind. Easier. But it's not easy to control the mind. Gurudev gave the example of Aditya and Kashyapa. They didn't breathe for years. They took no air. And great yogis can also do that for years. But to control the mind is another thing. So, he gives this example. I was just hearing this morning and yesterday, as sent out by the audio Seva team, a very beautiful Hindi lecture by Srila Gurudev that was translated with subtitles. And I'm sent it today to all the WhatsApp people on my WhatsApp, and you can send it to your friends. Srila Gurudev is giving the system of success for all relationships. He said today, due to lack of faith, in the Supreme Lord. There's no happiness in family life anywhere. Husbands and wives don't get along. But even if there's a fraction of this mood to engage our senses in offering pranam to the Lord before I leave for the day, worshipping with my mind, with my heart, with all my senses, offering all my bhoga and not honoring anything or not eating anything that's not first offered with devotion to the Lord. He said, then there will be no issue in family life. And I see some of you are not family members, so that means any relationship. No issues. He said, I can guarantee this, that all difficulties will be gone in a couple of minutes with a snap of the finger. He said, even if there is some quarrel between husband and wife, and then the husband goes off for working in the day, knowing that he's had a hard day of labor during the day, and he's upset because they had a quarrel in the morning, she's thinking, and then when he comes home, she gives him some sweet words. Gurudev said he will be satisfied spontaneously. All the issues, whatever complex issue it was, will be settled. Because really there's no complex issue. The only issue is Bhaveshmin kleshamananam avidya kama karma bhi. Who said that? Queen Kunti. Bhaveshmin. Everyone has fallen into this bhava sindhu, this ocean of birth and death. Kleshamanani, which is full of sufferings at every moment. Either suffering of the body or the mind and or other living entities, that means bugs and other people, and miseries caused by nature, meaning rain, heat, drought, freezing. Soon the misery is going to be the heat of Alachua summer. So, why? Vaveshmin kleshamanani avidya kama karma bhi. The avidya means ignorance, due to ignorance. And ignorance is caused by what? Forgetting Krishna. That's why of all the tons of rules and regulations in Krishna conscious literatures and given by our acharyas, the two main positive injunction and prohibitive injunction is what? Always remember Krishna and never forget him even for a moment. It just came to me when we were in New York, and Prabhupada was coming to New York really soon. This was when we had the first ISKCON temple at 26 2nd Avenue. And some kids, some neighborhood, where were we, in the Lower East Side, Bowery? Some kids decided to have some fun by throwing some garbage into the temple. So they opened the door and threw in some garbage. So then the temple president at the time became very angry. And he went and screamed at them and was grabbing them. And so they became more angry. They didn't say, oh well, you shouldn't do this because he's angry. That got them really riled up, as anger always does, doesn't it? It riles people up. It never satisfies the person. And it disconnects and creates a wall with the other person, doesn't it, as soon as we become angry. So then they threw a brick in the store window. Like here there's a big window. So in our storefront, the whole front wall was a window, and then there was the door. So they threw a rock in the storefront window, and naturally the whole thing shattered. So Srila Prabhupada came soon after that, and so at the end of one of the classes, the devotee asked him, "Oh Prabhupada, was that Maya who broke the window. So Prabhupada said, Maya is within the window, without the window, outside the window, inside the window. As soon as there's a lack in chanting Hare Krishna, Maya is there. And then once, when Prabhupada was coming from another city to that same New York temple, Brahmananda was with him in the car, and he was being driven by Mr. Coleman, who produced the first Hare Krishna mantra record, that big giant record. I don't know if that was popular in those days. So he wanted to show Prabhupada that he was speaking in a Krishna conscious way, so he said, because it was New York after all, what's more Mayak than New York? Now other cities are catching up, but that's major. So he said, oh, there seems to be more Maya around than ever before. So then Prabhupada said, that depends on how you see it. Just like, here's Mrs. Coleman. And if I see, oh, here's Mrs. Coleman, then everything is all right. But if I don't see her as Mrs. Coleman, I may get into trouble. Get it? If I think she's an object of my enjoyment and not somebody else's, I'll immediately get in trouble. Similarly, everything belongs to Krishna. And as soon as I try to enjoy that, I immediately get into trouble, Which reminded me of another instance at that same 26 Second Avenue temple, which is that the second temple that Prabhupada went to was San Francisco. And when he came back, two San Francisco devotees came with him, Gorsundar and Govindadasi, who were, believe it or not, one of his first traveling servants, husband and wife. Just like, I guess, Brajanath and Vrinda. So, when they arrived in New York, Srila Prabhupada said to him, now don't try to keep Govindadasi for yourself. Offer her to Krishna. And then there's no problem. Then, regarding that Hindi lecture that was just translated, he said, so if the wife speaks sweet words, even if the husband is upset, then everything will automatically be resolved. No more issue. Spontaneously, he'll be happy. He said, then if the wife sees, because everyone hankers for love, if the wife sees that she's not getting the affection that she wants, but my husband is giving affection to another, then she will become very hurt. So Gurudev said, therefore, this should not exist, either in the husband or the wife. Because, he said, if you want to be happy, then whatever makes you sad, like if somebody would do such and such to me, I would be sad. So whatever makes you sad, don't do that to anyone else. Then he said, what did I say? And he made the devotees repeat that. If you want to be happy, then if something makes you sad, don't do that to anyone else. Sometimes we forget that Gurudev talks about relationships a lot, in order that we can have a relationship with Krishna. Then he ended the talk by saying, if you want to see, and if you do this, if the husband and wife act like this, then you'll see how in a moment your household life will become like heavenly. It will become like Vaikuntha. Together they serve Krishna, and the repeated chain of birth and death will be extinguished. Then he said, he closed with this is really far out. If you want to see everyone engaged in loving exchanges with each other, lovingly interacting, then what do? You must act lovingly with everybody. So You put the onus back on the individual person. So, again, let's go with Gurudev to Mawilamba, where Krishna killed the Mora demon of anger. He said, sometimes I hear that you're very humble and tolerant, and sometimes I am hearing that you are like a red bull. And he went like that. This was in 2001. You know, when you show the red, then the bull, he's ready to throw you up in the air with his horns and beat you and bite you. He said, if you want to be like a bull, don't be like that kind of bull, or don't be like that aspect of the bull, but rather be like the bull in the sense that he's always engaged in nourishing others. How? By plowing the fields and creating foodstuffs for everyone. He said, I came late to class today because devotees continuously come to my room and say, this person did this and this person did that, and I don't like this and I don't like that. He said, I will not hear any quarreling complaints. He told the story of his Gurudev, our Parama Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. And two of his brahmacharis were running out of the kitchen with what? Carrying? Okay? Huh?
Frying pan?
Not exactly, but close to frying pans. They were carrying burning logs.
Oh.
And somebody was complaining that these brahmacharis are fighting. Can you do something to stop them, to help them? He said, why? Why should I do that? I have not come to this world to be a court. Have I told them to quarrel? No. I have taught them Trinadapi Sunichena, Turoravi Apisahishnana, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari, to be more humble than a blade of grass that's being stomped by others, more tolerant than a tree, even if Jane and Joey, come to carve their heart in the tree bark, Jane and Joey forever, still the tree is going to give them shade and fruits and so many things. Then he said, similarly, I have also not come to be a court. I have not told you to quarrel with your wife, or the wife to quarrel with her husband. I have come all the way from India not to see people come to me as though I were a court. If you come to me for advancement in bhakti, oh, then I can help you so much. If we're not humble and tolerant, then our life will be spoiled. And we already have heard from him so many times that if we engage in criticizing others, then what? Our bhakti goes where? Into the garbage can. Good. Did you say trash? Huh? You did? Varsana is very intelligent. Ramani. Well, that's because I saw you separately. I know that Varsana is the older one. The younger one. You know how I know that? Because I figured it out with Jayanti last time. When Radharani is in Varsana Dulali, she's young. And then she's Ramani when she's ramaning or enjoying rasa dance with Krishna. So therefore Ramani has to be the older one. But I didn't see you in comparison. So you are Varsana, right? I still can't compare. I have to see them sitting together. Varsana is bigger. Ramani.
Ramani's bigger.
Ramani's bigger.
Roshana's middle.
And Raman, so she must be Ramani because she's bigger. So very smart Ramani. Our bhakti goes into the trash. And Gurudev sometimes would say, did your Gurudev authorize you to criticize others? Who can criticize and chastise others? He said, criticize your own mind. Are you free from lust? And all the imperfections and obstacles that keep you from your bhakti? And Srila Bhakti began Parati Goswami Maharaj. He says that if I find myself criticizing, then I can think, oh, I've just wasted so much time in this short, valuable human form of life that I could have put into my bhakti. Once I complained to him when I first met him in 2012 that, sometimes our leaders are quarreling with each other. Now that our Srila Gurudev has disappeared from the vision of the mortal world. And it's very disturbing to me because that means the Sangha will split up, and Srila Gurudev put so much effort into making a Sangha and uniting the Sangha. So Srila Maharaj replied, very surprisingly, that's not your business. Your only business is Nam Bhajan, that is your own bhakti. Otherwise, if we think, and this one's doing this and that one's doing that, then we'll be completely lost. So, back to Mawilamba. After he was saying how the trees don't quarrel, then he said, and so Krishna's herding his cows, and he's taking out the cows, and he's speaking in cow language. Gauranga, do you know how to speak in cow language? Krishna will teach you. Not moo. Krishna says to the cows, Tiri tiri, come to the bank of the river. Nere nere, drink water. Choo choo, now you can come out again. But dire dire, don't disturb anyone else by pushing into anyone. So the cows, Gurudev said, in Goloka, they also don't quarrel. Then he said, what about the gopis? Then he quoted one of the gopis' verses. If you know it, then I request that you please. You want to come in and sit down, Tulsi? Are you shy? Okay. So, what are they singing? Gurudev said they don't have any time for chatter patter and seeing what anybody else is doing. Akshan vatam palamidam aparam vidama sakya pashun anuniveshaya torvayasyai vaktram brajeshu sutayor anuvenu yarvanipitam anurakshakatakshamoksham. That is, anyone who has eyes, the one who has eyes, the perfection of the eyes is to see Krishna and Balaram wandering through the forest with their cows as they play on their flutes. And the cowherd boys are singing their glories. And Krishna and Balaram are looking lovingly at all of their associates, their cows and their cowherd boys. This is the fruit of having eyes. And for one who doesn't taste this fruit, there's no use to having eyes or a head, which the eyes are on. Better his head should be struck by a thunderbolt. In other words, they're talking about themselves, because we can't be with Krishna now. He's off in the forest. All the other animals, other forest creatures are so lucky, and we're stuck at home. And we're afraid to go out and just abandon our chastity to our husbands. But these animals, these birds, these rivers, they have no fear. We're afraid our husbands would become angry with us. But these deer, the female deer, they just leave their husbands and go right to Krishna and exchange loving glances with him, which Krishna accepts more than the 16 paraphernalia of opulent Didi worship. And what do their husbands do? They follow right behind, thinking my wives are so fortunate. I'm going to follow her. So this is the discussion of the gopis. And they become so stunned that they can barely speak, but somehow they speak. So when they say the perfection of the eyes is to see Krishna and Balaram wandering in the forest with their cows, is that what they mean? No, they don't. They're covering it up. Covering up their real feeling. What do they really mean to say? They're singing Bhaktram Brajesha Sutayor Anuvenu Jistam. The two sons of Nanda Maharaj, Bhaktram Brajesha, the son of, the king of Braj, their sons, his sons, Sutayo, Anuvenu Justam, are playing on their flutes. But that's not what they really mean to say. It's a cover-up, so nobody will criticize them. What they really mean to say is Krishna and Radha. This is the mood of the maidservants of Radha. That is, the perfection of the eyes is to see Radha and Krishna, the son and daughter of the two kings of Braj. Who are they? Nanda Maharaj and Vrishabhanu Maharaj, playing on the flutes. Sometimes Radharani takes Krishna's flute and she plays it. And Krishna says, Swavas, Swavas, congratulations, you're much better than me. The gopis sing better than Krishna, they play instruments better than Krishna. So this is the gopis' talk. And do they have any problems? No problems. We only have problems for one reason. One reason is that, or one reason divided into two. We forget Krishna and then we don't engage our senses in the service of Krishna. We just let them fly and we follow them, like Krishna follows the cows. Another interesting pastime in relation to Krishna and the cows. Are you carrying a cow there, Garanga? What is he? What?
Koala.
A koala. Krishna loves all the animals and he takes them out and plays with them. So one day, Krishna and his friends were taking lunch prasadam together. And there were thousands and thousands, millions and millions of boys. You can imagine how many rows that would take. And then Krishna's in the center. And then there's the first row and the second row. But interestingly enough, they were all thinking that we're in the first row. That's the nature of spiritual life. Nobody gets envious that I'm behind and someone's ahead of me. They're all thinking I'm in the first row. So then Krishna's cows start thinking that, oh, we think there's greener grasses down in that direction. So they leave and they go off. And then the coward boys, they start thinking, our cows has gone off. We don't know where they went, and our mothers are going to be really upset if we don't bring them back. So the boys went to find the cows. There was one problem with that. What was that? Jay? What?
No, differently.
They didn't tell Krishna they were going to find the cows. They just went. So they were acting independently of Krishna. And what happened? The cows wandered off to the next, the next, the next. And finally they just got lost. And they ended up in this place in the forest with this really high grasses, so high that even an elephant would lose his way. And then the boys, and then it was really hot out, so the grass was dry, and the boys got lost too, and Kamsa's men were in the vicinity, and they set fire to the place. And then
remember that.
you do, you remember that story.
I remember them fighting. Krishna and King Kamsa fighting.
About the fire demon.
Yeah, about the fire demon.
Yeah, the fire demon. So this was a demon of Kamsa's friends making this fire. So everybody started remembering Krishna all of a sudden. Oh, Krishna, save us, save us. So Krishna immediately appeared on the spot. And he said, okay, everybody, close your eyes. And then he immediately sucked up the whole forest fire. So the boys were figuring that, well, the reason Krishna told us to close our eyes is because he must know some mystic mantra to put out the fire. And you have to say these mystic mantras alone, then they'll work best. And also, the last time he was eating earth, and we complained to Mother Yasoda, and she wanted to chastise him. So now he doesn't want them to, that was Krishna's thinking. I don't want them to complain to Mother Yasoda by seeing me eat the fire. So I'm just telling him to close their eyes. And they were thinking, well, he probably knows some mystic mantra. And then the fire was gone, and they found themselves back to where they began, where they were taking lunch. So Gurudev's moral of the story is, if we act independently of Krishna and Krishna's representative, then we'll be burnt. We'll end up in the funeral pyre burnt. This body, as Prabhupada said in one of the engagements that I was at with him at, I think it was Boston University. We went to so many colleges when he was visiting Boston in 1969. He said, this body, which you are soaping so nicely, let me get some bubble bath, soaping so nicely, it will turn into three things when you die. It will either turn into ash, if you're a Hindu, they'll burn you, or it will turn into stool of an animal if you're a Parsi, because then your body will be thrown into the streets, and then the dogs will eat you and it'll come out as dog stool. Or you'll be worms, because if you're a Christian, then they'll bury you. He said, even if you don't want to give your money to Krishna's service, but you want to keep it for your kids, for posterity, when you die, your kids might just use it for sense gratification. And it'll never get to Krishna, and they'll be destroyed, you'll be destroyed. So, at this point, I will ask if there's any questions.
I have one.
Yes, my dear Madan.
So Gurudev would often say, tell me everything, and things that seem like such a big deal become small.
Uh-huh.
But then you were saying, he doesn't want to hear about all this problems that people are coming to him with.
So you're asking how to reconcile that.
Uh-huh.
So everybody got that?
Yeah.
Okay. So he said, if you come to me with your problem, that is, I have so much lust, so much anger, I don't know how to control it. Because you've come to me asking for my help in that way, then I can get rid of your lust in a moment. But if you try to hide that, and if I say, oh, how are you? I'm fine. Really? Are you fine? Yes, I'm fine. And you don't tell me that you have 10 girlfriends vying for your attention, then what will happen? That problem will come in like a needle and come out like an atom bomb and destroy your bhakti and destroy your life. But what he's not wanting, what he didn't want to come to him is, this person did that and that person did that, and I'm in the right and they're in the wrong, or those two people are fighting, do something about it. That's when he said, that's when his Gurudev said, I'm not a court. Does that get the difference? Okay. Okay, any other? That was a good question.
Even when it's not a devotee, like if it's someone you're working for, and they lie and cause distress,
Then what? What's the rest of the question?
should you be tolerant of that, or I mean, how do you keep your bhakti in that situation? How do you keep yourself from
Getting angry and
being disappointed?
disappointed.
With
Your
the
your
human
bosses
race.
and the human race. Okay. So Karen is asking, everybody got that? What if you're at your regular job with non-devotees and your boss and the other people in the place are cheating and lying and bullying? How do you keep yourself calm and tolerant and not get upset and not lose your bhakti? Is that the question? Okay, very interesting. There are several answers. If I'm so attached to my job that I'm going to keep it under any circumstance and allow myself to be in this wretched association where I have to hear all kinds of the lowest gossip, then the only thing I can recommend is continually chant and read and hear. You have your headphones and you can hear the pure devotees giving classes. You can hear kirtans. But that's very difficult if you don't have the association of devotees. It's difficult to have the strength to do that. In which case, it's not possible to tolerate. It depends on how attached we are to that kind of situation and how much I want to be free and how old I am. How much time do I have left in this body? It leaves in a flash. So if I'm very intelligent, then I can go to a place, move my city to a place where there are devotees and be happy and find a job where people aren't bullying and nasty and cheating and lying. So there's different options. If you're strong enough to just chant through the whole thing, sing, like the gopis, when they're at home with their so-called husbands. I say so-called because their husbands are not really their husbands. They're in Goloka Vrindavan. That's a long story. So they're, whatever they're doing, whether they're taking care of their children or they're threshing grain, that's how you say it, threshing the grains or cleaning their houses, they're always singing, putting their babies to sleep. They rock their baby on the rocking chair and they don't sing, oh baby, go to sleep. They sing what? Govinda Damo Dharamada Govinda Damo Dharamada Govinda Damo Dharamada Govinda Damo Dharamada. And when driving in a car, Govinda Damo, like that. It depends how we're thinking. Does that answer it? Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
Wasn't that Arjuna's predicament? That even though he was in the right, fighting for his kingdom, he still felt conflicted and didn't want to fight.
Yes, Ram Das Guru is reminding us of Arjuna. He felt conflicted because his relatives were all there on the battlefield and they were all on the a lot of them were on the bad side. There were some relatives on the good side, but there were a lot of them on the really bad side. They were against Krishna and against Krishna's devotees. But still he had some material attachment. That how can I conquer in battle and kill those great souls who are worthy of my worship? If I kill them, then our spoils will be tainted. Our spoils means what we get out of it. The kingdom that we get will be tainted with blood. So he was smart enough to bring his problem to Krishna. And Krishna said to fight, because you're on the right side, and because I'm here, those people who die in the war, they'll all get a liberation of the heavenly kingdom. So, like that. Does that answer it?
Well,
Or not quite?
I was just pointing out how, he had to.
He was in a dilemma.
He was in a dilemma.
So what to do? Approach
What to
Krishna?
do.
He did the right
Right.
thing.
In that scenario, being tolerant, had
Wouldn't have
already
worked.
failed. Well, he tried actually.
He tried. The Pandavas
Yeah.
tried to be tolerant,
and
and it failed. The other people just kept trying to kill him,
Yeah.
kill the Pandavas.
So then
So
he got
Krishna
pushed.
himself decided there must be war. That reminds me, that is so interesting. I just heard something amazing from Gurudev this morning about the Pandavas. They would always invite Krishna they were in Hastinapur, right? They would always invite Krishna from Dwarka to come and stay with them so they could serve him. But Krishna was always saying, no, you're doing fine. You stay where you are, I'll stay where I am. So they had to figure out how to get Krishna to come to Hastinapur. So they created their problems. That is, one would wonder, why would they engage in a dice game with a bunch of cheaters who would obviously load the dice? And why would they be unintelligent enough to get defeated? They're supposed to be so smart, they're Krishna's devotees. So Gurudev explained today that they purposely made themselves have problems. They purposely engaged with these cheaters in the dice game. They purposely lost. They purposely bet their wife, knowing that they were going to lose her, and that she was going to have to call out for Krishna, and that they would be exiled to the forest, and Krishna would have to save them one after another. Isn't that part of Queen Kunti's
I
prayers?
was just gonna say,
What?
Queen Kunti
Take
prayed.
the thing?
I don't know if this is.
Yes.
Queen Kunti prays. Sorry, I don't know the Sanskrit off the top of my head, but she prays that calamities, instead of going away, for them to keep happening continuously, one after another, because only they know that during the times of calamity they'll remember Krishna, and Krishna will be there for them. Because if everything's going well, then they're likely to forget Krishna because they're distracted more.
Well, of course they wouldn't forget him,
Well,
but
they wouldn't, but
he wouldn't necessarily.
they're aware enough to instead pray for more calamity. She prays literally for more calamities to keep
That's
befalling.
Thank you. That's great. Then, as he was talking, it reminded me of Ram, because there is a certain kind of quarrel that we can have, which is a love quarrel, like Ram. Ram looks so beautiful there on your altar.
Thanks.
What kind of love quarrel did he have? That is, Bharat, when he went to exile, because everything is planned. When it's involving these people, like pure devotees in God, there's some extra plan. So it seemed like his stepmother, Kaikeyi, sent him to the forest because she was mean. But really, it was all his plan, because when he was a little kid, he told his stepmother, Kaikeyi, no one loves me like you do. You love me more than anyone, more than your own son Bharat. So only you can do this favor for me. When I grow up and I'm just about to become king, I want you to tell my father that Ram should go into exile and my son Bharat should become king. And when she heard this, she fainted. She said, I can't do it. He said, you have to. No one else can do this for me. Because otherwise, how am I going to get out of the palace and go off to the forest and kill the demons, which is why I came to this world. To protect the pious and kill the demons. So anyway, that's a side story. So when Bharat came out to the forest with all of his citizens to try to get Ram back to come to the kingdom, they had an argument. What was that argument? You take the kingdom. No, you take the kingdom. No, you take the kingdom. That's love quarrel. And our Param Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, he also had a love quarrel with his younger godbrother. That is, they were carrying some big bundle of boga that they had collected by, picking from the fields, and they were bringing it back to their temple. So they had an argument. The younger one said, I'm younger, so I'm stronger, so I should carry the heavy load. And then Param Gurudev said, no, I'm older, I'm senior, so I should carry the heavy load. And in that way they had the love quarrel. There was once a story of a king of Assam, and he had a very chaste wife. And the opposite party attacked, and they lost the kingdom. The wife was thrown in jail, the queen, and he somehow or other escaped. So now time is passing, and now he doesn't look like the king anymore. He's skinny, he has a beard, he's dirty looking, clothes torn, and he's overhearing in the forest. Two people are speaking with each other about him. Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj tells this history actually, that they're saying, what a nasty king we have. His wife's in jail, and he's free somewhere. He doesn't even go to save her. So he said, he thought to himself, I should do something. So he went to where the jail was, and he told the jailkeeper, I am the guru of the queen, and she called for me. She wants to see me. So they let him in, and as soon as she saw him, she obviously recognized her husband. And she said, get him out of here. He's a liar. He's just a lusty man, and he wants to enjoy my beauty. Immediately kick him out. So they slapped him around and kicked him out. What was that about? Want to know? Okay. So, who understood her? The jailers, they did not understand her. Who understood her? Only her husband, because she was speaking the language of love. What was she really trying to say? She was trying to say, what are you doing here? They'll recognize you if you stay any more minutes. Someone will recognize you and they'll throw you in jail. You'll suffer more than me, and then I'll suffer more than I am now, seeing you suffering. So please leave immediately. He understood that. And he was so grateful that later on he got another kingdom, he got back his wife, and he made a whole monument for her. So language, the love quarrel. Then Srila Maharaj said, when Radharani says to Krishna, don't come near me, don't touch me, what does she mean? Come near me, touch me. Any other questions? Any unclarities? Another thing about criticizing in quarreling mood, or any mood, criticizing. What happens if I criticize? Shoot a boomerang, and it comes right back to me. Touch a live wire, and I get electrocuted. So if I criticize others, then whether or not that person has the fault that I'm ascribing to them, I get those faults. Either I have the faults, and that's why I'm seeing it, because if I point one finger at you, I'm pointing three back at me. Or, if I don't have them now, they'll sure come to me. Is there any last question before we go on to the next part of the program? So what's the moral of the whole story?
Don't criticize, don't complain, always chant.
Don't criticize, always chant. What's some more? Trinadapi Sunichena. What else?
Our job is to fix
Sorry?
Our job is our bhajan,
Our job is our bhajan, not what?
not to like manage everything.
Not to manage and control. And worry about what others are doing. Gurudev said, let them do. Anything else? Speak sweet words. Thank you. In fact, Gurudev said that, but that's also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 3rd canto, in relation to the history of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. That when the husband comes home, he's all agitated, like Kiran might be after being at her office. And then if the wife's duty is to speak sweet words. Anything else? Yes.
Shankar Pandit said that one who speaks harsh words mistakes broken glass for jewels.
One who speaks harsh words mistakes broken glass for jewels. Thank you. And then there's another one, like a saying, like you just said. If you poke a person with a thorn, then 3 comes back to you as a trident. Another thing that Srila Gurudev said in his Harmony book, which is like a must read, all these stories are in the Harmony book, is they cheated you first. Like suppose I punch Garanga. Suppose I punch Garanga. What's he going to do? He's going to punch me back. And what if he punches me harder than I punch him? Then will I get angry at him? No, why? Because I punched you first, didn't I? So Gurudev said if somebody cheats you, that means that you cheated them first. And you're just getting the taste back. Also, if we try to cheat Krishna, then Krishna will cheat us through others. Yes, Radhacharana.
I would be very curious to know what Narayan Maharaj said about when you know that devotees are hurting other devotees, making grave sins, and I always feel like I cannot not speak up. I just get so frustrated behind all of this. So, and it's not being addressed properly. It's sort of like being put back on the person that was offended, like they brought it on, it was their fault, or you're being critical or offensive. What did Gurudev say about that?
I just said for the last hour.
I know, but
don't waste your time.
It's a waste of time.
You just told me it was a waste of time. I didn't tell you.
Huh?
You told me it was a waste of time.
I told you.
You just told me it's a waste of time, because then they just blame the person who was being abused or offended, and nothing ever gets done and nobody addresses it. You told me it's a waste of time.
Did I say that?
You did.
Well, they make you feel like it's a waste of time, but I know things do change, but it takes time for it to change.
If you want to be in that situation where you're always disturbed.
But it doesn't disturb me. It doesn't disturb my sadhana or my... It doesn't. It really doesn't.
If you want to be in that situation and you can help people, then be in the situation. Gurudev said that if you can change someone, then you can criticize them. If you have the power. Who has the power? Like, for example, Narada Muni. He was wandering in the forest playing his veena, and all of a sudden he saw these two naked demigods, the sons of Kuvera. You know how when you get a lot of money, sometimes you just get lost in sense gratification and sinful activities? So that's what happened to the sons of the treasure of the whole universe, Mani, Griva, and Nala Kuvera. They were playing naked with two naked demigoddesses in a heavenly garden and lake. At least the girl, and they were drunk also. So when the girls saw Narada, they became ashamed. They had more sense. So they immediately grabbed their clothes, hid behind a tree. But the men, they were just too drunk. And they were so offensive to Narada. What are you doing, destroying our fun like this? Who do you think you are? So he said, demigods, human beings aren't supposed to be naked. That's for trees to be naked. So you acted just like a tree, so I curse you right now to become a trees. So immediately they felt their bodies becoming stiff, and they felt themselves becoming trees. Please save us, we promise we'll never do this again, please, please, please. So he said, no, my curse will be carried out, but because a pure devotee can't do anything bad to anyone, you will take birth as trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj, and Krishna himself will come and deliver you. And then you will be associates of the gopis and gopas in Goloka Vrindavan, which they became. So if you have that power to change the person, that's funny. Haridasper was just going like this. And when he did that, it reminded me of one conversation that Tamal Krishna Maharaj, my godbrother, he was one of the main big GBCs, big sannyasis, big gurus of ISKCON. And in 1991, he asked Gurudev, so, you say don't criticize, but we're managing a big institution here. And sometimes we have to criticize or chastise somebody for the good of the institution, and could be for the good of the person too. So what to do? So Gurudev said, since you asked, if you have got priti, like Mother Yasoda, who said to Krishna, when she saw him doing all kinds of nonsense things, like stealing butter from the neighborhood's houses, oh, you're so naughty, may I chastise you? And it was really out of priti, out of pure love. So then there's no harm. But without that priti, if you do that, then your heart may become harder than stone if you're busy doing that. So depends on the individual's discretion which way they want to go. For me, I would go down, so I don't do it. I used to do it, and I got in a lot of trouble. I don't do it anymore. And that way, because if I'm just concentrating on my own bhakti, that whoever comes to me, they get my bhakti practices. If I'm absorbed in this and that and that and that and that, then I'm not attractive, and it's hard to help anybody. So it's up to the individual's discretion of what you understand about yourself. And now we will have our blessings from Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev. And this is such a must-read. Upadeshamrita, Prabhupada's and Gurudev's Nectar of Instruction. The essence of all instructions being in verse 8, which is what? Loud? I can't hear you at all.
The Namarupa Charitadi Sakirtananu.
Yeah, get the microphone.
Can you sing it?
The Namarupa Charitadi Sakirtananu. Nityorasena manas Mena manasi yoja Tistan tanaruragi jananugami
Kalam nayena kilam nityupadeshasaram.
Meaning?
It means the essence of all instruction is to engage one's body, mind, and words in the company of Rajasic Vaishnavas, and to hear from them to practice kirtan 24/7.
And do what? What does Sukirtanana mean?
Like kirtan in the association of pure Vaishnavas, of Rajasic.
That's there by Jananugami, Tadanuragi Jananugami. But what about Sukirtananam? Srila Prabhupada hid the treasure for a while. He said Sukirtananam means doing kirtan very nicely. Su means very good, very nice. Then when we go deeper into the meaning, we see that Sukirtananam means of the name, fame, form, pastimes, paraphernalia of the Lord. Not only the name, but everything about him. And when I chant a certain name, like Radha Damodara or Radha Ramana Haribol, then I would remember the pastimes. For me, I wish I would remember, but the essence is to remember the pastimes of whoever you're singing about. Okay, so any other or? Yes. Alright, so now Lalita Saki Didi Dasi is going to pass out the flower petals.
Oh no.
Yay.
Oh yes!
Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, wait, here.
All
Take a
over
little
on
bit
the
because
side.
they got a whole lot.
And then we're going to observe the ritual that Gurudev does for birthdays and like when a kid is 6 months old, he's having his grain ceremony. So if everybody can come closer to Ram Das.
I didn't sign up for this. I didn't know. No.
Okay. So you can repeat after me, and only at the very end do we throw the flower petals. Om Swastino Govindaha Swastino Achyutanantao Swastino Vasudeva Vishnu Dadatu Swastino Narayano Narovai Swastinaha Padmanavaha Purushottamo Dadatu Swastino Vishwakshena Vishveshwaraha Swastino Rishikesho Harir Dadatu Swastino Anjana Suto Hanor Bhagavato Dadatu Swastino Vainateo Harihi Sri Krishna Sachidananda Ganaha Swasti Swasti Sumangalai Kesho Mahan Sarves Fares Faro Dadatu. Now for the translation. May Lord Govinda, Achyuta, Anantashesh, Vasudev, and Lord Vishnu bestow auspiciousness upon Ramdas Prabhu. May Narayan, Padmanabha, and Purushottama bestow auspiciousness upon Ramdas Prabhu. May Vishwakshena, the Lord of the universe, Rishikesha, the Lord of the Lord Hari bestow auspiciousness upon Ramdas Prabhu. May Garuda and the son of Anjana, who is the great devotee of Lord Ram, Hanuman, bestow auspiciousness upon Ramdas Prabhu. May the great and only Lord of all auspiciousness, Sri Krishna, who is like a transcendental cloud full of eternity, knowledge and bliss, and who is the Lord of all the demigods, bestow upon Ramdas all prosperity and auspiciousness. And now we're going to do the shortcut one that Gurudev always does, which is Kalyanam Bhavatu,
Kalyanam Bhavatu,
Mangalam Bhavatu,
Mangalam Bhavatu.
May you be auspicious on your birthday.
May you be auspicious on your birthday.
May you be happy in this birth and all your future births.
May you be happy in this birth and all your future births.
And may you soon become a Brajbasi.
And may you soon become a Brajbasi.
And better yet, a Dasi of Sri Radha.
And better yet, a Dasi of Sri Radha.
And now you can do the flowers. Swaha. Swaha. Hare Krishna to you, Hare Krishna to you, Hare Krishna to Manas, Hare Krishna to you. May you never take birth again, may you never take birth again, may you never take birth again, unless it's in the womb of a gopi.
Kalpa Taruvyasya Kripa Sindhu Vaivasha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Like to say anything?
That was unexpected. In 35 years, I've never experienced that. The last few years of my life have had a lot of obstacles. 2 years ago, actually, I had just come out of my first round of chemotherapy, fighting the cancer that was soon to kill me. So, to be from there here in 2 years, my obstacles have not stopped. I'm suffering from some other obstacles at the moment, like, aren't we all? But I would not be able to get through them if it wasn't for all of you. So I thank you very much for allowing me to serve you in whatever way.
And many devotees made many loving cakes and varieties of vegan and other things.
So, all the prasad, at least that I made today, is vegan. So the pasta, the salad, and there is a vegan cake. I had Amarada Dasi make a vegan cake. So there are options.
And Bhima made another vegan brownies.
And Mother Ganga Gati also made vegan. We nicknamed them lead bars because when you eat one of these cookies, it feels like you ate a bar of lead. But she does make vegan versions of them, so yeah.
Does that mean you get really full from them, or you become poisoned?
Just heavy, because they are, at least the non-vegan ones are like 50% butter. So. But please eat. I made a lot of food, so please.
Should we say the Mahaprasadam, or we do a kirtan first? Or
Yes.
Kirtan first, and then I see that Mike pointing in the direction.
Well, we're going to feast on the things.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Prabhupada Gopal ki jai, Prabhupada 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 ki jai, Sri Bhagavan Mahaprasad Seva ki jai, Go Srimati.
Hari Hari.
Syamarani, Didi,
Okay, see how lucky you can balance it. I like it. How small. Up, see, round your neck. How long can you sit like that without it falling off? Huh? She was curious. She was, I guess she didn't want I'm sure she didn't mean to. You know, come on, she didn't mean to. She's trying to get in a rush, so just get him later, we'll do it.
You know when she's coming back?
We don't have a date fixed, but maybe at the end of the year, maybe at the end of the year. Come back this year, then it'll be like a new year. I mean, she said there's a possibility she'll be back in the fall. She'll probably be this year.
Middle of October to November 4th. They'll serve it out, I guess. So
Yeah, you can throw it with me.
Ouch.
It's like the middle of October.
Yeah, it's easier. Yeah. Little baby? Oh, okay.
I live in Serbia.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I think a lot of us started there in those places.
Yeah.
I was there for about 3 years.
Yeah, I started in Venezuela, then India, and then came back
Yeah, things change.
Soup. Dal. It's
Yes, not recently. Oh, it's great. It's great. It's a whole other world. It's a whole other world. You know, just like the West here, America is like material advancement of life. India is advanced.
Having out, so we should be ready to go.
Here too. Well, normally you need certain things.
Wear a t-shirt.
I'm a vegan. How many vegans? How many vegans? 1, 2, 3 vegans. Only 3.
You sit outside.
Oh, sorry.
Is the dressing?
I'll have to see if that is.
How are you doing, mother? You're doing. 4 months now? 4?
No, I'm 7.5 months.
Gosh, what is it? I've been down on Costa Rica 2 days. That's 3 months.
Good to have you out here.
3 months when 2 months when I got you, baby?
I've been pregnant since July. But I like
Are you vegan?
Are you vegan?
Okay, well,
I'm not a vegan.
vegan?
I'm not vegan.
Oh,
I have been.
Okay, that's 3 vegans.
Do you want to try vegetable food?
Vegan, who is a vegan? Where's Susanita?
She's serving horse.
They actually only counted 4, including you. It's okay.
Did you take some fish out?
I think that bowl is.
Are you vegan?
You want to try this?
Go where?